looking deep down the left side. Mendeville into the end zone. Touchdown!
Down the sideline, still 40, 20 to the house.
And the players streaming from the sideline to celebrate with 17 seconds left.
Welcome in, everybody, to BVarsity Live for Thursday, September the 8th. I'm Zach Ewing, and Trevor Horn's over there.
What's up?
It's another week.
Hi.
Labor Day's gone. I feel like we're finally into the flow of things here. It's week 3 of football season. Tennis league play, I think, starts next week, right? In the SSL, it's already started.
SWL started this week, too.
Yeah, there you go.
Liberty beat Frontier 6-3 yesterday.
Volleyball league plays only a couple of weeks away. We're really into the grind again here of fall sports. We have another live game for you tomorrow night. High school football-wise, the BVarsity Live game of the week is a good one. It's a Division I battle between the Central Grizzlies and the Liberty Patriots. So it's a Fresno versus Bakersfield deal, and Liberty number 1 in our rankings, looking to go to 3-0. And by the way, we have giveaways again. We gave away a couple of gift cards to Johnny Garlic's last week. This week I got 3. I got $100 to Muscle Grub, and I got a couple of $25 gift certificates to. Do I hear your stomach grumbling over there, Eureka's?
No, I'll take the Eureka's.
Yeah, I bet you would.
Muscle Grub, let's show us the gun, Zach.
I promise that I won't give any of these to Trevor. We're going to give them away on the live broadcast tomorrow night. So
know the Eureka's would just go to Kristen, and I would benefit that as well.
You've got to do – no, they're not going to Kristen either. What you've got to do is listen to the game. Just like last week, I'll be broadcasting the game. I will give a keyword. We're going to do it after the first touchdown in each half. I haven't decided when we're going to do the third one, maybe halftime.
Okay.
You got to listen during the half. You get the keyword, you tweet it to the BVarsity Live account. It's to have something to do with something football related. It could be anything. Last week I used Bruins and Trojans, and then I used unsportsmanlike conduct of all things, just to fit the theme of Stockdale Independence, which was all unsportsmanlike conduct.
It was
penalties.
the theme of
It was just a flaggy type night.
everything.
It was everything. There was flags in every game. Too many of them, took way too long. Anyway, end of rant. I put this in my predictions column. I didn't feel like there were a whole heck of a lot of surprises last week.
No, everything kind of went status quo.
I mean,
Ridgeview looked better than they did in week 0, but they still couldn't overcome and beat Liberty. I mean, and it all came down to the loss of Jamar Moya.
And that's exactly what we sort of expected, that they would be better, but maybe not good enough to beat Liberty. That's exactly what they were. I mean, they were good games. They were tremendous
they had a
games.
chance. They had a legitimate chance. I mean, Dennis Manning said it's like you want the kids to be aggressive and get ready to play football and go after the kicker, but they just charged Liberty's kicker with 1:30 left on 4th down, where instead of having 90 seconds left and the ball, here they are.
Right, the penalty it cost you the game.
Here they are, giving Liberty a chance to do a victory formation instead of getting one last chance to try to drive down the field, which they were starting to do a little bit more there in the second half.
So there were tremendous games, don't get me wrong. East and North was an unbelievable game. I think it had 4 lead changes in the fourth quarter alone.
Foothill came back.
We have Foothill in the house today. We're going to talk to them later.
They came back from 2 touchdowns to beat
Came
Arvin
back
in
from
the fourth
16
quarter.
points down, I think, yeah.
Yeah, in the fourth quarter to come back and win that game.
It's
We got 2 of those
31-30.
stars.
Golden Valley was down huge on Chavez, came all the way back, took the lead, and then
That was John Farron,
yeah,
by
he
the way,
just gave you a
giving me
pat on the back,
tap
and then
shoulder.
Chavez scores in the end to win that game anyway. There was really some tremendous games, but I just can't point to anything. Usually this early in the season, there's always like, wow, didn't see that coming. And the only thing I can think of is maybe Taft going up to Menachie and just taking it on the chin. But Robert Cozine didn't play in that game.
Right.
It was a little surprising how badly they got beat anyway. But Garces Arroyo Grande was another great game. Garces had a lead all game long and then couldn't come up with the goods in the end.
Frontier losing Greg Youngblood to concussion in the second quarter kind of
It's not that there weren't storylines. I just wasn't blown away by anything. And usually this time of year, I'm still, wow, I didn't know that about that team. Wow, I didn't know that. And so hopefully that's coming this week, and I think it is.
Yeah, you would hope.
Well, if not, it's just, everybody is who we thought they were.
The thing is like, we can really
Denny
find
Green.
out how good Highland is and if Kennedy's going to keep this.
That's such a fun game. Shafter Foothill's a fun game. I mean, we are going to learn things about these teams.
Kennedy hasn't lost a a non-league regular season game since Dennis Moody showed up before the 2014 season. They're 17-0, 18-0 now against Central Section opponents not in the SSL since Dennis Moody showed up. So, they got to play at Highland, who's also 2-0 like the Thunderbirds are. So it'd be really interesting. I mean, if Highland can beat Kennedy, that's a D3 versus D6, but Kennedy's a very, very good D6 team.
Right.
So it'd be very interesting to see what happens there. Shafter Foothill, 2 1-1 teams. Who goes 2-1?
Yeah, let's see what else is going on. We've got volleyball. I know you saw a great one last night
Oh
with
my
Bakersfield
gosh, that was
Christian
incredible.
rallying. We have Garces volleyball in the house. It was going to work out really well. They were up 2-0, and then Bakersfield Christian kind of ruined that storyline for us. But kudos to BCHS and just tremendous volleyball by both teams.
Well,
if
the thing
you
about
watch
Garces,
the highlights.
The reason I want them to come in is because, like BCHS, they advanced to the semifinals and tied for third at the Clovis Invitational. But you look at a team, Hannah Mergel, one of the players that, is in our green room right now. She's the only senior on this team, a team that went 20-6 last year, 4-6 at SWIL. But it's really interesting to see what they can do now that all those freshman standouts like Perry Starkey and Layla Green are now sophomores, a little bit more seasoned. I mean, that was the first 3 sets were decided by minimum point differential.
Yeah.
25-23, 25-23, 27-25, and then BCHS kind of took that 4th set, and then it was a 25, it was a 15-13 there in the 5th. That was an incredible match, and that was part of the reason why I put over 7 minutes of highlights on our website today, because it warranted
deserved
that.
it, yeah.
It was an incredible match. That tiny little gym at Garces can get really hot and sweaty, especially this time of the year. And both student sections are great. The place was packed, and the play on the court really did kind of live up to the hype of 2 top 10 teams in the Central Section. Really neat environment last night, and it really was a playoff-type environment in the second week in September.
I was out at cross country, meanwhile, and that was interesting. Cagney Duncan laid down the law for Liberty. 17:55 is what our coaches had her clocked at. Meet officials at 17:57. I have my doubts. The meet officials were all over the map yesterday, but they also allowed the boys' race to start before Liberty's runners were ready on the line. Even though nobody was really sure what time it was supposed to start at, they didn't wait for Liberty.
What does that mean?
And Liberty still won
Explain that
the
a little
race.
bit more. What does that exactly mean?
Well, so there were 2 schedules floating around. There was an older schedule that said the varsity boys race was supposed to start at 6:30. The newer one said it was supposed to start at 6. So nobody was on the same page as far as when the varsity boys race was going to begin.
How does that happen?
And that's one problem, but I think as long as you communicate at the meet, hey, we're going to go run the race now and wait for everybody, you're settled. Well, 6 o'clock was the right schedule. It was about 6:05 when they were trying to start the race. Liberty wasn't ready. Liberty was one of the teams that thought it was 6:30. They were in the vicinity of the start line.
You said within like 200 yards?
About 200 yards behind the start line. And
Which is right at like the base of the hill.
a couple of their frost soft runners were holding a place from. If you've never been to a cross country meet, they have a long horizontal line of where the teams line up in groups, and then it's a mass start. Well, they had a couple of frost off runners holding a spot for them in the line, and the starter said, "We're going to go ahead and start," and the frost off runner said, "No, we're not. We're not the Liberty team that's running. You need to wait for our varsity runners," and the starter refused to wait. The varsity
Why?
runners caught wind of it, started hustling up to the line, dropped their cups of water as they were, sort of doing their warm-up
But why
jogs.
not wait 30 seconds to a minute?
I can't answer that question for you. I mean, it was a perfect example of somebody being officious to the point of we have to
But they're not being
follow
officious.
the rules.
But they're not being officious when they've got 2 different schedules floating around.
What I mean by officious is that they are being such sticklers for the rules that they are not paying attention to reality. And so that's really what the case was. Well, Liberty won the race anyway. The times are all screwed up, obviously. Robert Scasser run a 15:12. Pretty darn good considering he started behind everybody else.
Yeah, really
And had to, by the time they got
But
to the line.
you got to figure he ran a sub 15 if you think about it.
Yeah, I mean, it was 200 yards, but at the same time, he had caught up to the main pack pretty quickly. But it was
'Cause he's
he was at the
fast.
back of the main pack, and then he had to kind of weave his
fast.
way through everybody. Said he took the lead with about half a mile to go, and he wins. It was just a weird event. This is the East Bakersfield Invitational out at Lake Ming. Regardless, the point is Liberty was clearly the best team there on the boys and girls side. Elsewhere, you're going out to golf today?
Yeah. SWYL is actually going on right now. They start at noon over at Sundale. I'm going to go over and catch, hopefully the last 6 or 7 holes.
Have Lexi Keene in action?
Yeah. Kylie Irie from Frontier. Liberty looks like the best overall team in the league. Garces, Young.
Lexi Keener, 3-time defending player of the year.
Yeah, she's still in high school, by the way.
It's hard to believe. We've had her in here many times, and I'm sure we will again this year. She's a real treat to talk to, and she's already off to a good start.
She
this season.
shot a 68 in Tehachapi last week. A 68.
68. That's a shorter course, but that's still a 68 is you're playing.
Can you shoot a 68?
In 9 holes?
Yeah, maybe
Yeah.
on the putt course.
No, I can handle 9 holes in 68 usually. I think on a regulation course usually. That's something to really brag about. I know.
Tennis this weekend, the SWL versus the track.
Cal Classic or
The
whatever.
Cal
they call it.
Classic, yeah, it's up there in Clovis this weekend, so that'll be interesting. Yeah, a lot of football going on. Volleyball off and running. A couple other things. I mean, my first initial top 15 ranking is going to be completely shaken up.
Turned on its head, right?
Yeah, it really did. When you think about, Central loses to number 1 Clovis. I think Clovis kind of cemented itself as the overall number 1.
And then
right
Centennial
now.
beat Central last night as well. That's a good one for
that.
Centennial in
Yeah,
volleyball.
so I was getting to that. Thank you. Appreciate that. And then
You didn't say we were talking about volleyball. I had to throw that in there.
yeah, and then Frontier, who I had number 2 overall, took it on the chin on the road to defending D1 champs Clovis East 3-0, and then Stockdale, who's number 10, lost in 3 sets in Clovis to unranked Buchanan. So
Yeah.
it's kind of topsy turvy. Is volleyball better in Bakersfield than it is in Clovis, or vice versa? I mean, it's
I would
very
say right now
competitive.
Clovis has the upper hand in the
Yeah.
early going.
But and it kind of shows too when you look at a team like BCHS, they beat Centennial, and then Centennial beat Central. BCHS beat Garces. Garces lost twice to Central, so it'd be very interesting to see how the top 15 kind of unveils next week when we put them out on Tuesday.
So we are going to stay with the volleyball theme. When we come back, we're going to have Garces volleyball in the house. Coach Kim Harper, along with Hannah Mergel, and who else is here?
Emily Demos and
Emily
associate
Demos.
head coach, the one
John
and
Price.
only John Price.
Yeah, John Price will be here as well. We'll squeeze him in here somehow. And then we've got Foothill football, which always is a tongue twister for me. Foothill football in our third segment. Jason Oliver here with his quarterback, Hugo Santana, who is, by the way, Kern County's leading passer as we speak. And their star running back, Jay Sean Ward, is here as well. So they'll be in the third segment. And then we will, of course, get to our predictions last. One more reminder before we go to break. Live tomorrow night at 7 o'clock, Central and Liberty, live from the Patriots home field. Myself and Todd Camps will be on the call. We're going to have giveaways. We're going to have football. You're going to want to tune in at on Bakersfield.com and ESPN Bakersfield, 12:30 a.m. Trevor is over there. I'm Zach. We'll be right back after this with Garces Volleyball here on BVarsity Live.